Chosen one, the person you've been praying for, is already in motion toward you. Stop doubting what your spirit has been whispering. This isn't about wishful thinking or manifesting. This is about divine timing coming to completion. Right now, while you're watching this, someone with both the heart to love you deeply and the resources to protect your future is being positioned by heaven itself. You are not here by accident. What's coming in this message will end your season of wondering when and start your season of preparing to receive. But first, here's what you need to understand. God doesn't send broke love or empty promises to his chosen ones. The connection that's approaching carries both spiritual depth and earthly provision, because your assignment requires both. Hit the like button to declare, "I'm ready to receive this divine message." It takes just a second, but help spread this word to thousands of other chosen ones who need it right now. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to discern when this heaven-sent connection arrives and why every disappointment you faced was preparation for this moment. Your spirit will recognize the signs I'm about to reveal, and you'll understand why God held this person back until you were truly ready to receive them. This prophetic word isn't just relevant, it's critical for your current moment. Heaven is accelerating your romantic destiny, and the shift isn't coming, it's here. Drop a comment below with one thing you need prayer for today. Then, reply to someone else's comment with words of encouragement. Miracles happen when we lift each other up. When you share your prayer, others will pray for you. When you pray for someone else, blessings flow back to you. This is how faith in action works. And to our channel members, thank you for your continued support and faith. May God return it to you in peace, provision, and divine favor. Comment 777 if you're declaring today as the day you step into divine abundance, favor, and breakthrough. Most of us, if we're really honest, find it tough, truly tough, to step into the amazing things God has lined up for us. It's a vision so bright, so vibrant, so utterly full of promise. A future painted with the very colors of heaven's intent that our hearts instinctively leap towards it, like a gazelle sensing open pasture. Yet, our feet, even as our spirits soar, feel strangely, inexplicably weighted down. And you know why? A lot of the time, almost universally, it's because we're still stuck, still caught in a never-ending, exhausting negotiation with the deep, aching pain of people who walked out of our lives, those who promised and then vanished like mist, or situations that simply shattered our expectations and didn't work out the way we desperately, with every fiber of our being, hoped they would. It's like we're caught in this endless back and forth, an internal tug-of-war with the hurt, endlessly replaying scenes in our mind's eye, whispering what-ifs into the quiet, desolate chambers of our own hearts, tirelessly trying to make sense of why things happened the way they did, or just bracing ourselves with a weary sigh for the inevitable disappointment we've come to expect as a familiar, unwelcome guest. We carry these invisible burdens, these heavy, suffocating cloaks woven from past rejections, from perceived failures, from every stumble and every fall, and they cling to us, keeping us from truly soaring, from fully extending our wings into the abundant sky God has prepared. But here's the beautiful truth, the one that can change everything for you, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now, in this very moment, if you simply allow it to penetrate. God is actively, tenderly, with the deepest compassion, yet powerfully and decisively, calling you out of that season. He's calling you out of picking up crumbs, out of feeling like you're just getting by, always scrambling for spiritual, emotional, or even material scraps, forever chasing after the bare minimum. He's calling you out of that gnawing sense of barely having enough, that familiar, desolate landscape of lack, where your soul feels parched and your spirit feels depleted. He's inviting you with open arms and an overflowing, limitless heart into a completely new reality. A reality where it's not just okay or good enough, but a place where nothing is missing, absolutely nothing is broken, and every single fragment of you is made whole and complete. Imagine that, a whole new reality, a fresh dawn breaking over your life, where you are truly whole, fully provided for in every single area of your being, and perfectly aligned with His magnificent plan, a plan that has always, from the very beginning of time, been for your ultimate good and glorious future, just as He promised with unwavering certainty in Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." He sees you, and His vision for you is breathtaking. It's so natural, almost instinctive, for your heart to want to trust this, to reach for that hope, to leap at the promise of something better, something truly divine, a taste of heaven on earth. But then your mind, that tricky, often uncooperative thing, starts playing back the highlight reel of every delay you've ever faced. Every single disappointment that knocked the wind out of you and left you breathless and gasping. Every moment where you mistook something that was almost right for your actual God-ordained destiny, that profound, perfect fit for your soul. It's hard, isn't it? It feels like your past is just holding you hostage, a relentless captor, whispering doubts and showing you 1,000 reasons why it won't work this time either, why this promise will also fall flat. It parades every betrayal, every closed door that slammed shut in your face, every false start, every unfinished chapter, trying to convince you that this new invitation from God is just another mirage shimmering in your personal wilderness, an illusion designed to trick you. But let me tell you, my dear friend, there's a profound, often overlooked, and incredibly redemptive reason why those times of waiting, those seasons that felt like wandering through a barren, desolate wilderness, were actually part of the divine plan. It wasn't just a test to see if you'd crack under pressure. No, it was the very ground, the sacred, hallowed space where your faith wasn't just examined, but truly born, forged, and strengthened. It's where resilience was crafted in the purifying fire of delay, shaping you for what's to come, hardening your resolve like tempered steel. Think about it. Abraham, the very father of faith, spent decades, not just days or weeks, but decades wandering and waiting, hoping against all human hope, holding on to a seemingly impossible promise against all odds before his promised son, Isaac, finally arrived. Imagine the internal battle, the societal pressure, the sheer weariness of waiting year after year. Yet he believed. And David, before he was ever known as the great king, the one who united Israel and brought forth a lineage for the Messiah, spent years hidden away, often running for his very life in the quiet, obscure places. He was just a shepherd boy, then a fugitive, overlooked and underestimated by everyone around him, even his own family, who probably barely noticed him. God uses those seasons of hiddenness, those times when you feel unseen or unheard, to truly prepare you. He's shaping your character in the crucible of silence, developing your leadership skills in the lonely fields as you tend to sheep, deepening your absolute dependence on Him alone, teaching you to discern His voice above all others. He's getting you ready for the kind of connection, the kind of breakthrough, the kind of purpose that, once it shows up, simply cannot be hidden anymore. It's meant for the world to see, like a city on a hill that cannot be concealed. Matthew 5:14. And it's for you to walk into fully, boldly, and with complete confidence, knowing you are utterly prepared. So if you've been feeling it lately, that subtle shift, that little whisper in your spirit, a kind of holy restlessness that just won't let you get comfortable in the old, familiar ways, that gentle yet persistent nudge pushing you forward, away from what was, please understand, that's heaven itself signaling you. It's a divine notification, a spiritual alarm bell ringing with urgent grace, telling you that the old cycle, the one that kept you stuck and repeating patterns of lack, limitation, and heartbreak, the patterns that felt like a hamster wheel of disappointment, is finally completely closing. And it's closing for good. You don't have to go back there again. That door, that weary, painful door, is sealing shut behind you, never to be opened by you again. Some of the most incredible breakthroughs in our lives don't happen when we're desperately running around, frantically searching for all the answers, trying to figure everything out on our own with exhausted minds and weary hearts. No, sometimes they come when we quiet ourselves, when we stop chasing and start sitting with revelation, allowing it to settle deeply within our spirit. It's about being still enough to hear what God is speaking directly to your heart, letting the truth wash over you like a refreshing, life-giving rain, soaking in His divine wisdom and guidance as a thirsty land soaks up water. If that resonates deep within you, if you feel that stirring, that profound hunger for deeper truth that can transform your daily existence, then I truly believe the 10 hidden truths of Jesus' parables is your essential next step, a divine companion for this journey. It's not a huge, complicated book that will overwhelm you with academic jargon. It's a short, incredibly powerful ebook designed to unlock practical, spirit-led truths about areas we all need clarity on, like managing your money, God's way, understanding His principles of abundance and stewardship, experiencing profound healing in your body and soul, moving from sickness to wholeness, and from emotional wounds to restoration, and achieving deep emotional clarity that brings a peace that passes all understanding, a quiet confidence in the midst of life's storms. It's real, actionable wisdom that you can apply to your life today, transforming your perspectives and your circumstances from the inside out. And the best part? The link to grab your copy, your precious gift of insight and illumination, is right there in the very first comment below this video. Just click over, but please know it's only available for a limited time, a brief window of opportunity, a sacred moment God has set aside. So make sure you don't miss out on this incredible, life-changing resource that can propel you into your new season. It's time right now, in this very moment, for you to take back what's rightfully yours. It's time to reclaim your agreement with the incredible future God is personally weaving for you, stitch by beautiful, intentional, purposeful stitch, like a master weaver creating a magnificent tapestry. You know those stories, the ones that tried to label you as forgotten, as insignificant, as someone who just didn't make the cut, someone who would never amount to anything, someone cursed by their past, destined to repeat cycles of brokenness. It's time to consciously, definitively, and deliberately release every single one of them, to sever those ties. Burn them to ashes in the purifying fire of God's truth, letting the smoke of those lies dissipate into the wind. Because the truth is, the glorious, undeniable truth, is that God is about to do something so significant in your life, something so unique, so undeniably miraculous, so profoundly transformational, that He's actually going to make you unforgettable. People will look at your life, at your undeniable transformation, at the blessings pouring out, at the divine favor that rests upon you, and they will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was God, not your own efforts or ingenuity, not your own strength or strategic planning, but His mighty hand, His sovereign power, His unfailing love at work. To step into that glorious reality, that destiny woven just for you, you have to begin, consciously and deliberately, to let go of those familiar patterns, those old ways of thinking and seeing yourself, those worn-out lenses of perception. Do you still find yourself viewing your present and your future through the painful, distorted lens of your last heartbreak, your last failure, your last deep disappointment? Is that the clouded, cracked filter through which you interpret every new opportunity, every new relationship, every new possibility that God presents? If so, then this is your absolute first step, a foundational one, a non-negotiable one. Confess out loud in a powerful, unwavering declaration that resonates through your very being, that the version of you who settled for less, who played small, who just barely survived, that person no longer exists. They're gone. You are new, a brand new creation in Christ. 2 Corinthians 5:17, born of His Spirit. infused with his life. Just like Jacob, who had to wrestle all night with God and be physically and spiritually changed, marked forever by that encounter, to become Israel, a new man with a new identity, carrying a new destiny, before his son Joseph's dreams could come to fruition and save an entire nation from famine. That profound shift in identity, that internal declaration of who you are now in Christ, rooted in his truth, is absolutely crucial. It's the key to unlocking the next level, the next dimension of your life in him. And trust me, coming up, you're going to discover the very next step, one that most people instinctively try to avoid because it feels uncomfortable or counterintuitive, even a little scary. But it's the single one that genuinely changes everything. So stick with me, because this is important. It's your breakthrough moment, the moment you step into the person God created you to be. You need to actively shift your expectation to truly match the grand assignment God has placed on your life, the magnificent purpose he created you for before time began. We spend so much time, so much precious mental and emotional energy rehearsing what went wrong. We replay the failures, the insults, the closed doors, the rejections, over and over like a broken record stuck in a painful groove. We analyze every painful detail of the past, trying to dissect what we could have done differently or what was done to us, as if re-examining the wound will somehow heal it. But what if you started to intentionally rehearse what's possible instead? What if you started to meditate deeply on God's promises for your future, allowing them to fill your mind and heart, instead of dwelling on the raw, festering wounds of your past? What if you practice gratitude for what's coming, for the unseen blessings already being woven by God's loving hands, instead of dwelling on what's gone, what's lost, what never was? Think about Ruth. She didn't cling to the broken familiarity of her old life, or try to go back to Moab, even though it was all she knew and she still had family there, a comfortable past she could have retreated to. She courageously left what was comfortable, what was safe, and she walked straight into the unknown, into a field that God had supernaturally prepared for her, a field of favor, a place of abundant provision, not primarily a field of romance. And guess what? Love, her destiny partner Boaz, didn't find her because she was actively looking for a husband or waiting around passively for one to show up. Love found her precisely because she was positioned in a place of obedience, diligently working, serving with a pure heart, and trusting God's leading, not just passively waiting for something to happen to her. Your next move, your next step, isn't about forcing something to happen or manipulating circumstances to your will or trying to control outcomes that are beyond your grasp. It's purely about being positioned, putting yourself in a place, both spiritually and practically, where heaven can move on your behalf, where divine appointments can intersect with your path. It's about aligning yourself completely with God's will, surrendering your own agenda so he can unleash his power, his favor, and his blessings for you in ways you've never seen, in ways that defy human logic. And oh, that subtle voice, the one that whispers, "It never works out for me. This is just how my life is. I'm always the one left behind." Why bother trying again? We've all heard it, haven't we? That insidious little lie, that poisonous whisper that tries to steal your hope, your joy, your motivation to even try, to even lift your head. It's time to take absolute authority over that voice, to silence it, not with anger or frustration, but with the undeniable, unwavering truth of God's word and his unchanging character. God's promises, let me be absolutely clear, do not expire. They are eternal, steadfast and true, regardless of your past experiences or how many times you've fallen or failed. Just as he declared with divine immutability, "For I, the Lord, do not change. Therefore you, O children of Jacob, are not consumed." Malachi 3:6. His nature is constancy, but sometimes our own internal agreement with old disappointments, with past hurts and limiting beliefs, keeps us mentally and emotionally tethered to the very past we desperately want to leave behind. It's like we've signed an invisible contract with failure, and we keep showing up for work there, faithfully clocking in, even when the job doesn't exist anymore and the building is crumbling around us. Remember Moses, this incredible leader chosen by God to deliver an entire nation, to perform astounding miracles and lead millions through the wilderness, almost forfeited his divine assignment, almost missed out on leading his people to freedom because he believed the lie that he was unworthy, unqualified, unable. He felt inadequate, unable to speak, a nobody, despite God's clear, thunderous call. God had to lovingly remind him, who made man's mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Exodus 4:11. Your past doesn't define your potential in God, and your perceived weaknesses don't limit his infinite power. He is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Ephesians 3:20. He is your source, your strength, your capability. And coming up, we're going to dig into a hidden habit, a truly subtle one that might be unknowingly feeding that delay in your life, keeping you from stepping into everything God has for you. It's often the quiet, unconscious patterns that hold us back the most. Let go of your rigid timelines, dear one. Release that tight, suffocating grip you have on your calendar and your expectations for how and when things should happen. Stop demanding answers from God on your schedule, on your terms, with your specific preferences and deadlines, and instead start cultivating a spirit of readiness within yourself. We live in a world that's all about instant gratification, where we expect everything on demand, from information to food delivery, but God, He moves outside your human deadlines. He's never late, never misses an appointment, but He certainly doesn't operate on your clock or adhere to your human desire for speed. What He does operate on, with absolute precision, is His perfect design and His divine purpose, His kairos timing, which is always flawless, always optimal. His timing is perfect, even when it feels agonizingly slow to our impatient human hearts, like watching a seed slowly sprout. Think about Esther. She wasn't promoted to queen because the timing was just right for her personal ambition, or because she had some grand plan to marry a king and gain power. No, she was elevated, placed in that pivotal position because she was ready. She was prepared in her character, in her heart, in her willingness to be used, even when it was terrifying and dangerous. She spent time preparing herself, trusting in the process of purification and presentation, not rushing it, not trying to manipulate the outcome. She released the pressure to orchestrate every single detail, to manipulate circumstances, and instead focused on cultivating a spirit of quiet, humble obedience. And that quiet, humble obedience attracted everything she needed, even a crown and the sacred opportunity to save her entire people from annihilation. You don't need to try and control the unfolding of your destiny. You just need to be ready for it, internally and spiritually, when God says it's time to move, when His perfect timing aligns with your readiness. And this one's a big one, perhaps one of the most freeing steps you can take, a truly liberating truth that can unravel years of bondage. You need to expose and really confront that deep-seated, often unconscious need for validation from others. We all crave it to some extent, a sense of belonging, a nod of approval, a comforting affirmation that we are seen, that we matter. It's a natural human desire, woven into our social fabric. But when it becomes the driving force behind our decisions, our choices, and our very sense of self-worth, it can completely derail our destiny and lead us far from God's unique and magnificent path for us. The truth is, your destiny partner, whether that's a literal spouse, a business partner, a mentor, or even just the right circle of friends, they aren't looking for a watered-down, people-pleasing version of you that simply tries to please the crowd or fit into a mold that was never designed for you. They're looking for the real you, the authentic you, the God-ordained you, with all your quirks, your unique anointing, and your true spiritual blueprint. When David was anointed king by the prophet Samuel, he wasn't chosen for his outward appearance or his brother's approval, or their impressive stature. He was chosen right there in the humble presence of his older brothers, the very ones who doubted him, who dismissed him, who thought he was just a shepherd boy, not fit for anything grand, hardly kingly material. They certainly weren't validating him. In fact, they were probably still looking down on him, chuckling at the idea of him as king. But Samuel, led by God, saw his heart, not his outward appearance or their dismissive opinions. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. The right connection, the one that's truly heaven-sent, divinely orchestrated, will always honor your calling, your unique purpose, your anointing, not just your outward image or how well you fit into someone else's preconceived box. It will celebrate who you truly are in Christ, the masterpiece God created, even when the world doesn't yet see or understand it, even when others still dismiss you. And coming up, we're going to dive into what I believe is the most misunderstood move in your entire spiritual journey. It's the one crucial step that sets absolutely everything else in motion. Don't skip this, because it's a game changer, a profound shift in perspective. It's time to embrace pruning. I know that word sounds a little harsh, maybe even painful or like punishment, conjuring images of loss and deprivation, of something being cut away. But hear me out, because there's deep, life-giving truth here. If you felt like parts of your life, relationships, or even opportunities have been stripped away, everything that was stripped away from you, everything that felt like a loss or a cutoff in this last season, it wasn't punishment. It wasn't because God was mad at you or trying to make you suffer for some mistake you made. It was divine preparation, a purposeful act, a meticulous and loving intervention to get you ready for acceleration, for a level of growth and fruitfulness you haven't seen before, that your current structure couldn't sustain. Jesus himself said, with divine wisdom, "Every branch in me that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear even more fruit." John 15:2. Think of a wise gardener meticulously trimming back a plant. To the plant, in that moment, it might feel like destruction, like a violent cutting, like a piece of itself is being torn away. But it's actually an act of profound love, ensuring greater life and abundance, stronger growth, and more beautiful blossoms, more delicious fruit in the season to come. This is positioning, not punishment. It's God making space for the new, for the deeper roots that will anchor you through any storm, and for the more abundant harvest that will soon fill your hands and overflow your spirit. You'll know you're truly in your new season. You'll recognize it, not just intellectually, but deep in your spirit, by the opportunities that start coming your way. They might feel a little unfamiliar, a little outside your comfort zone, perhaps even a bit intimidating and requiring a stretch of faith that feels daunting, but they will also feel undeniably right, undeniable in their divine origin. You won't be able to shake the feeling that this is where you're supposed to be, this is what you've been prepared for, this is the very thing you've been praying for, the answer to your heart's deepest desires. And how do you navigate these new spaces, these unfamiliar landscapes of opportunity? How do you hear God's voice clearly in the midst of all the noise and distractions of life, the clamor of the world, and the incessant chatter in your own mind? You ask, you seek, and you listen. Your next big revelation, that profound breakthrough understanding you're longing for, that clear direction for your next step, often comes not in a booming, dramatic shout, not in a flashing light or an earth-shattering earthquake that shakes your foundations. More often than not, it comes in whispers. It's in that quiet, still, small voice, the gentle whisper, as it says in 1 Kings, that only speaks when you're truly listening, when you've quieted the clamor of the world and the noise of your own thoughts around you. Remember Elijah, the powerful prophet? He experienced mighty winds, an earthquake, and fire on the mountain, massive, awe-inspiring displays of power. But God wasn't in any of those dramatic manifestations. God was in the gentle whisper, 1 Kings 19:11-13, teaching him and us where true divine presence often resides. So, Make quietness your intentional strategy. Carve out time for stillness, for reflection, for just being with God, without an agenda, without a list of demands, just listening with an open heart. And as you do, watch as clarity becomes your constant companion, guiding your steps in ways you never thought possible, revealing truths you never perceived before, illuminating paths you couldn't see in the darkness of confusion. It's hard, I know, after experiencing so much pain and disappointment, after so many blows and setbacks, but you absolutely have to be willing to risk being vulnerable again. Our hearts, after being hurt, after experiencing loss and profound disappointment, after being shattered into 1,000 pieces, tend to instinctively build towering walls, to close off, to protect themselves at all costs from any further pain, any new wound. But a closed heart, unfortunately, can never truly see the open doors that God is constantly presenting. It's like trying to walk through a doorway with your eyes shut tight, or with your arms tightly crossed over your chest, pushing everything away. You'll miss the very thing you need, the very blessing God has prepared for you, the key to your next season, because your defenses are too high. Think about Zacchaeus, the tax collector in the Bible. He was a small man, probably socially isolated, and certainly not well liked by his community because of his profession, which was seen as traitorous. But he was so desperate to see Jesus, to be seen differently, to encounter something real and transformative, that he climbed a sycamore tree, a pretty vulnerable, even undignified act for an adult man of his status and position. His vulnerability, his humility, his willingness to go out on a limb literally positioned him for a miracle he never even requested. Jesus saw him, called him by name, and changed his entire life and his reputation, demonstrating that divine connection often flows through humility. Sometimes the greatest act of faith isn't about declaring that you have it all together, or that you're perfectly strong, or that you're never afraid, never vulnerable. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is simply admitting, with raw honesty, that despite everything you've been through, all the scars and the setbacks, you still have hope. You still believe. You're still willing to trust again, to open your heart to the possibility of something new, something beautiful, something from God, something worth the risk. And here's a truth that almost no one sees. A real hidden gem in understanding why some breakthroughs seem so elusive, why doors seem to open and then quickly shut. The greatest enemy of your breakthrough isn't actually fear. While fear is certainly a powerful factor, and it can paralyze us and hold us back, keeping us from taking necessary steps, the deeper, more insidious enemy is often familiarity. It's that comfort zone we unconsciously build around what we know, even if what we know is painful or limiting or simply mediocre. Remember how the Israelites, after being miraculously delivered from slavery in Egypt, after walking through the parted Red Sea on dry ground, after seeing God's power manifest undeniably out in the wilderness, sometimes actually craved to go back to Egypt. They longed for the leeks and onions, for the predictable food, even though it meant captivity, brutal oppression, and cruel slavery. Why? Because captivity, even with all its hardships, was predictable. It was familiar. They knew what to expect. It was the devil they knew, and that felt safer than the glorious, terrifying unknown of true freedom. Heaven is actively working to break your attachment to what you've merely managed, to the predictable, often mediocre life you've learned to cope with, to the familiar prisons you've made comfortable by settling for less than God's best. God is breaking you free from that, not to punish you, but so you can finally step into and experience what you've only dared to imagine in your wildest, most faith-filled dreams. He's taking you beyond what you've had to manage to what He wants you to manifest. His glory, His abundant provision, His undeniable purpose for your life, displayed for all to see, a beacon of His grace and power. And this, my friends, is the absolute turning point. This is where everything shifts, where your new chapter truly begins, a fresh page turned in the book of your life, pristine and ready for God's story to unfold. God never delivers your purpose on your terms, according to your timing, or packaged exactly how you expect it to be, in a neat little bow that fits perfectly into your preconceived notions. He won't fit into your neat little box of what you think it should look like, because his thoughts are higher than your thoughts, and his ways are higher than your ways. Isaiah 55:9. But he always delivers it perfectly on his divine timeline, and always according to his magnificent design, which is far greater, far more expansive, far more glorious than anything you could conceive or imagine for yourself. The connection, the opportunity, the breakthrough that's coming your way might look nothing like what you've meticulously planned or envisioned in your mind. It might not fit neatly into your preconceived notions. It might even feel a little uncomfortable or challenging at first, because it requires you to stretch beyond your current capacity, to grow in ways you hadn't anticipated. But here's the wonderful paradox, the beautiful irony of God's love. It will look everything like what you've prayed for in secret, deep in your heart, those whispers only God heard, those quiet longings of your soul that no one else ever knew. It will be the answer to the deepest longings of your soul, not just the surface desires or the practical needs you presented, but the profound yearning of your spirit. When it shows up, and it will, with divine certainty, it's going to require something of you. It will require you to expand your capacity, to grow beyond your current limits, to stretch your faith in ways you never thought possible, to believe for the impossible. It will require you to forgive, not just others who have hurt you deeply, those who wounded you in the past, but perhaps yourself, for past mistakes or perceived shortcomings, for the times you played small or doubted his goodness. And most importantly, it will require you to step in, boldly and confidently, without rehearsing your failures one more time, without letting the old stories, those worn-out narratives, define you any longer. Don't let the lingering shadow of what was, the ghost of your past, keep you from fully embracing the incredible substance of what is, what God is actively bringing into your present moment, into your very hands. This is your moment. So tonight, before you lay your head down to sleep, before you drift off into the quiet of the night, before you enter that sacred space between consciousness and dreams, I want to encourage you to say this simple yet incredibly powerful prayer out loud. Let it be a declaration over your life, a shift in your spiritual atmosphere, a surrender of the old and an embrace of the new. I release all fear. I release all doubt. I step into my divine purpose, and I trust that my miracle is already on its way. If you are truly ready for that breakthrough, if you're ready for God to move in a mighty, undeniable way in your life, then let your faith speak right now. Don't just keep it to yourself, hidden away in your heart. Share this word with someone you love, someone who needs to hear it, someone who feels stuck in their own wilderness and needs a beacon of hope. Declare it in the comments below this video. Let the world see your faith. Let the spiritual realm hear your powerful declaration. Let the angels rejoice with you and heaven echo your trust. And most importantly, choose today, right now, to prepare, not just to passively wait. Heaven responds and moves powerfully for those who are found in a posture of eager expectation, actively preparing their hearts and their lives for the goodness God is sending, making space for His blessings, clearing the path for His glory. Your breakthrough is closer than you think, closer than you can imagine, shimmering on the horizon, so get ready to receive it, for the King is coming to your door.